guys? Welcome back to Business Players Live. This is the 21st episode. It's crazy how we've been doing this so much, but I'm very happy because of your feedback. You're saying, "Hey, I'm enjoying the show and I'm learning a lot." And some people have also told me like, "Hey, I implemented this thing that I saw that you guys mentioned, and it's helping me and my business, or I'm feeling better after watching your episodes." So that's super encouraging, guys. Thank you so much. Before we start, I just want to say thank you and keep watching because I'm just gonna bring more people, and there are a lot of incredible people like the one I have today. Okay, and I'm gonna present her in a second. But yeah, we're coming up with as many amazing people as we can. Okay, and there's a lot of amazing people like my friend here, Victoria. Okay, and before we jump into her, I'm gonna start telling you more about this amazing lady. Okay, her name is Victoria Jenn Rodriguez, and she's a master mindset and business consultant, media personality, and acclaimed international keynote speaker. Okay, and now she's gonna impress us with her skills. But she's a strategic visionary thinker with over 20 years of experience. Where in this 20 years of experience, she's trained over 15,000. Hear that out, 15,000 leaders and entrepreneurs on how to optimize their performance while maintaining a focus on emotional intelligence, reflection, and life balance. Which, by the way, I was just in a call with my coach, and he was just telling me, Jose, you need more life balance, like life balance business. So she's going to teach us about that in a second. But this is an amazing woman, an amazing, lady. She's Latin as well. Okay. She's from Puerto Rico. So everyone watching here from Puerto Rico, leave in the comments Puerto Rico, and God bless you all in Puerto Rico. And she's the host of her own show on YouTube, which I would encourage you guys to check out because I'm sure it's amazing. It's called Victoria Jenn TV on YouTube. Okay, and it's the home of widely popular series like Women Who Roar. That sounds really amazing. And it's got over 4 million downloads. Oh my God, that's amazing. So, she's amazing, and she's being showcased in places like NBC Universal. She's helped 500 Fortune companies, okay, from small to 500 Fortune companies, which is amazing. Like Coca-Cola, Morgan Stanley, Moody's, Jet, Johnson and Johnson, Pfizer, and wow. And I'm sure that she's selling herself short with all of this probably. And but yeah, she's incredible, and she's the founder of also the Female Collaborative Inc., a nonprofit that focuses on revolutionizing the way women work, do business together, and so many other things. Of course, she's going to tell us more about all the other things she does. But here she is. Without further ado, I got Victoria Jenn. Woo! Welcome, my friend. Let's go.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much for having me.
Oh yeah, I love to have you here, and someone so successful taking the time to share with us about your experience, your story, and everything. And of course, the fact that you're Latin. I'm also Latin, and it's incredible to have like people that are hustling in business and helping other people achieve success. And we're all from like the heart, right? Our hearts are super connected. So no, I love it's an honor to have you here, my friend. So tell us how you're doing right now. How are things for you right now?
Things for me are interesting. I think we're all in this moment of transition, transformation. And so we're all, kind of figuring out how we're going to take advantage of this eating recession that is coming and how we're going to pivot. So lots of brainstorming happening, but all good things.
Yeah, but this is also like a great time for reflection and improvement and all these things, right, my friend? Like things happen for a reason. We can just use the best of it, right? The best, how we can.
Absolutely. I mean, during the downturn is when the most millionaires are made. If you look at the data that shows how many millionaires were made during the pandemic, I mean, in this moment of time where everybody is holding on to their purses, everybody is scared to take action, this is when the wealthy takes action, right? This is when they do the most work. So we all have to take advantage of the opportunity and like really train ourselves to look at this as an opportunity versus allow it for us to kind of get into our own little black hole and live there until the moment passes.
Yes. And that's what we're trying to do right now in our company. And I'm sure you're trying to do the same, and the people watching this show. But before we get into like the good stuff, the nitty gritty, we all want to know more about you, your story. You have an amazing story, my friend. Tell us about how you got started into business. Like, how did all this stuff happen? How did it all start?
Yeah, so I'll start with I'm a big time daddy's girl. So born and raised by a single dad. And when I was a little girl, he used to, he was in the restaurant business and he would wake me up at like 3:30 in the morning, try and do something with my hair and bring me to the restaurant with him. So we were at the restaurant by like 5 o'clock in the morning. I was knocked out in one of the booths, but we did this consistently for years. And it showed me work ethic and it showed me where you get when you work hard. So I always had that work ethic instilled in me from my dad. Then when I graduated college, the first one in my family to graduate, I ended up on Wall Street and I was there for several years. And I ended up living a 15-year corporate career life. I was in finance, consumer product goods, healthcare. I even worked on legislation in Washington and Albany. And then 5 years ago, I got laid off from my last corporate gig when I was heading up talent management for Johnson & Johnson. And I had a decision to make. I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? And at first, I wasn't even thinking about entrepreneurship. I was like, you know what? Corporate's been really good to me. Let me go work somewhere else. And I would interview with a number of large firms, make it to final rounds, and I just wasn't able to close. And I'm a closer. So I'm like, what is going on here? So I took it as, a sign from the universe, a sign from God to say, you know what? Bet on yourself and see how far you can go. I had a savings. I had, support. So I was like, you know what? Let me try this out. And 5 years later, 3 successful, high earning 6-figure businesses on our way to hit $1 million this year.
Nice.
We're still here and we're still fighting every day. So that's the story of how I got here.
Wow. Congrats, my friend. And we're also in the same boat. So we're, gonna hit the million soon, probably, and we're fighting for it and everything, even though the crazy economy and all this stuff. So, if like, that's why I started doing this show, because if we can, people can, right? Like, we're like, and I saw here that you work with the board of executive of the Bronx Global Learning Institute for Girls. So are you like you used to live in the Bronx, or is that?
Yeah, so that's an interesting story. So when I was in college, I met a woman by the name of Shirley Rodriguez Romanesky, who was a Puerto Rican, I would say, activist. And she was very well known in government, and specifically in New York, back on the island. And she essentially took me under her wing. I interned with her nonprofit when I was in college called 100 Hispanic Women. And while I was an intern, she had this idea of wanting to open up a charter school in the South Bronx, where she was originally from. I grew up in Queens, New York, but she was from the Bronx. And her dream was always to open this all-girls school, dual language school, where the girls are learning in Spanish and English, and they graduate dual language learners and speakers. And so while I was an intern, I saw her start this school. So I was involved in the application process. I was involved in finding the location, etc. And once I graduated college, by the way, she's the reason why I got my first job on Wall Street. She made the introduction for me. Once I graduated, she said, Victoria, I need you on the executive board of this charter school. So I was the youngest one. I was 21 and I was already serving on a board. And I still serve to this day, almost 15 years later. But as a board member, it's my responsibility to make sure that the school stays open and alive, and that these girls have a really robust curriculum, so that they're able to become the next global generation of leaders, right from the heart of the
Amen.
South.
Amen. I love that. I love that. And I mean, you've been grinding and helping people even before you started your entrepreneurship career. That's amazing. Like, not everyone can say that. Usually we all start, entrepreneurs, we make some money and then we start doing something for other people. But you were already starting from way earlier. So that's great. So you see like all these girls, and of course they see you now, and you're impacting these girls' lives and other people's lives too. But like, how does that feel? That feels great, right?
It does. And I appreciate you pointing that out, because I really didn't think about it in that way. But yeah, it feels amazing. It feels incredible to know that, I have an influence over these kids' lives. They come from the poorest districts in the state,
Yes.
in the country. And we're introducing them to violin. Our violin girls just did an opening game for Yankee
Nice.
Stadium. We're
Oh,
right by
wow.
Yankee Stadium. And they're getting this exposure to ballet. We had girls graduate and now they're going to Ivy League high schools, like stuff that they never would have been exposed to, because you can't be what
Yeah.
you can't see, right? And you don't know
Yeah.
unless you get exposed
Mindset,
to
huh?
it.
Mindset,
Exactly.
right? Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so we focus a lot on self-esteem, actually, and
Hmm.
a lot on confidence building, because we have a lot of Black and brown girls who go to our school,
Yeah.
um, again, are growing up in the poorest district. So they got a lot of things working against them.
Yeah, and Latin too, right? Like, we're Latin, and I this is my a little bit of like what happened to me. The reason why I wasn't pursuing business, which was one of my biggest and wildest dreams, was because I was hearing other people, right, around me saying, you can't do that. We have 20 years in the States and we haven't started our business. What made you think that you can do that, Jose? And obviously, that makes and we're used to hearing out what anyone says, right? That's part of what they teach us. So we really, it really hurts, and then we start believing it. And unfortunately, these girls in these neighborhoods and the Bronx, like everywhere, right, that it's not even just the poor neighborhoods, like everywhere. We're used to just listening to the negative feedback and believing that that's our truth when it's not, right?
Absolutely. Yes.
And it's very
That's
sad. So,
yeah.
but then
And I
you go ahead. Sorry, what do you say?
I was just going to add that, right now we're at a time where a lot of people are operating from a scarcity mindset. They're operating out of
Yeah.
fear. And so if
Hmm.
you are brave and courageous enough to share your dreams with someone or tell them your plans, more likely than not, they're going to want to tell you, no, don't do that. They're going to discourage you because they themselves are battling with their own insecurities.
Hmm.
So you have
Hmm.
to be very careful with who you confide in, because what they say to you might influence you, just like in your case, right, Jose? It took you a while to kind of, gain
Oh,
the confianza, the confidence to be like, I don't care what you say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do it big, right?
yeah.
So it takes a while for you to get to that point. So just be mindful of who who you're asking advice from, or who you're sharing your dreams
Mhm.
from, especially if they're never did what you're trying to do and they're not in a position to help you. They're the wrong people to internalize advice from, right?
Oh yeah, totally, totally. And now that we're getting to this type of emotional ground and everything, tell us,
Yeah.
like, why do you decide to get into the consulting and coaching and masterminding, all that what you do? What made you decide to do that? Pursue this entrepreneurship career, but in this specific area.
So it was an evolution. My business 5 years ago looked very different from what it is today. When I first started, I was doing interview training and resume reviews and career coaching because I was in talent management and recruitment for a
Mhm.
long part of my career. So
Nice.
I started a business over what I knew how to do, right?
Hmm.
And then after, growing and figuring things out and really also paying attention to what brings me joy and what really lights me up and what I wanted to dedicate my time to. I think one of the greatest benefits of doing your own thing is you get to decide everything. You get to decide what you want to do, what you don't want to do, what kind of business you have, what kind of clients you want to work with. You get to decide all of that. You no longer have to ask anyone for permission to essentially do you your way. And so as I evolved as a businesswoman, my business also evolved with me. And I started to see a growing trend of more women wanting to start a business, more women wanting to transition from corporate into entrepreneurship. And women has always been a focal point because of that mentor of mine, Shirley, right, who put me on in my college career. It's why I do, the all-girl charter school. So it's been ingrained in me, the power of women and what happens when we collaborate. And so I said, you know what? I've been doing this 5 years now. I have tons of intellectual property. I've made lots of money. I've lost money. I've made a lot of mistakes. I can create essentially a hub for everything a woman needs to know that is thinking about making the transition from corporate to entrepreneurship, and everything that a woman who's already in business but struggling to scale needs to know. And I focus a lot on corporate contracts and government contracts because, only 4% of women-owned businesses hit $1 million in revenue. And of that 4%, 54% are able to hit $1 million because they do business with other businesses. They do business at the corporate and government level. So I teach a lot of this inside the Dare to Leap Academy, which is my latest business venture that really focuses on business fundamentals and starting and scaling up a business. And then the last thing I'll share is I focus a lot on mindset because I know a lot of women in my life who struggle with confidence, especially women of color. They struggle with imposter syndrome. They struggle with getting out of their own way. They struggle with, not pretending to be somebody that they're not. They struggle really being themselves and finding out who they are and why they are. And they're not comfortable in their own skin. There's like an identity crisis going on right now. And so it was really important for me to focus on mindset because that's the foundation of everything that you do. It will catch up to you. Yeah, you can start your business. Yeah, you might make some money, but it will catch up to you one way or another. And so it's really important for you to have the foundational work. And so Dare to Leap Academy, we focus on business and mindset. The Woman Who Wore Club that you mentioned is a group coaching program I started that focuses primarily on imposter syndrome, on confidence, on building up your presence both on and offline, but really a lot of the mindset work is when we focus on. And then the last piece is the Female Collaborative that you mentioned, which is a nonprofit that I started that really focuses on teaching women how to collaborate, because a lot of women don't know how to collaborate, or they've been tainted by a failed collaboration and now like, I don't want to work with women anymore. I'm done working with women. And so we really try to position them with the tools and the resources they need to have successful collaborations.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And just a quick amazing and funny fact is that I did a research that was like 4 months ago or so, where in the past 3 years of doing business, and what we found out is that the best clients are women, first of all. And I was like, wow, that's incredible. But these are the reasons why. So you ladies watching this, so you're badass and you're amazing. The first thing is like, you girls are logical and not as emotional as men, which might sound like, oh man, that's crazy, but it is. It's true. It's super true. You girls just make a decision, right? And you're like, I know this is the right thing to do, so I'm just doing it. Where men were like, we're considering everything and coming up with like a lot of excuses, and men sometimes even listen more to what other people say than women. Not every time, but it happens a lot, right? But it's incredible. So you business ladies watching this, keep going, because you will get really far, because you don't have those limiting beliefs that some of us men have. So that's great. Of course, and if you have a personality in your team, like, of course, Victoria, you're gonna get way farther in business and stuff. But it's interesting everything you said. And how can a woman or anyone that is watching us know if they suffer from this imposter syndrome? How do
Yeah.
they know, and what can they do?
Yeah. So some signs that you're experiencing imposter syndrome are you
Mhm.
feeling like you're a fraud, right? Like
Mhm.
you didn't put in the sweat equity to get where you are right now, or
Okay.
that you got there because of luck, or somebody put you on and that's the only reason why you're there, not because you deserve to be at the table. You feel like you're not enough,
Mhm.
and you feel like regardless of all the work that you put in and all that sweat equity, you still haven't earned your seat at the table. And
Got it.
so these are very common thoughts that we tell ourselves that makes us feel less than and makes us feel like we're essentially an imposter. Like, oh my God, somebody's going to find out, like, I really don't belong here and I'm going to be asked out. Right. So
Mhm.
it's very, very common. At least 70% of professionals experience imposter syndrome at least 3 times
Wow.
in their lives. Yep. It's very, very
Wow.
common.
Okay. And you know, it's is that because we're being taught to say believe, like fake it until you make it? Is that one? Is that, I mean, of course, I'm just kind of like guessing here, but does it come originates from something like someone else has ever, like all our lives has told us that you have to just fake it until you make it? Is that a reason?
So it originates because we're human. Like we're human first and everything else second. And when we are trying something new, when we're the first in our family, we're the first woman, we're the first person of color, it's lonely and it makes us feel like really scared and fearful because we're stretching ourselves and we're making ourselves uncomfortable, right? We're coloring outside the lines. And so the more successful you become, the more episodes of imposter syndrome you will experience. So, for example, Jennifer Lopez, who's my idol, right? Michelle Obama, Oprah, Sheryl Sandberg, all of these pioneering women that we tend to look up and be like, wow, they're badass, like they're super
Yes.
admirable, have
Yes.
all admitted in the last year to experiencing imposter syndrome. So,
Hmm.
what that should tell you is that it doesn't matter where you are on the success ladder. Imposter syndrome is real, but also imposter syndrome is good because it indicates to you that you are challenging yourself and you're constantly doing something to improve and evolve. So naturally, as a human, it's going to be unsettling because you never done it before. So you're not used to, you don't know what you don't know. And so it's a little nerve-wracking, but it's
Got it.
very common and real, especially the more successful you become in your career.
Hmm. Yeah, because you're breaking barriers, right? And you're breaking through limiting beliefs of other people. So when you do a lot of those things, like
Right.
you start feeling like, who am I or something, because you're doing a lot of crazy stuff, I guess. And
Yeah.
I have a little bit of that too. I can admit, because I sometimes feel something like that. But that's super interesting. And so what was this something, Victoria, that you always wanted to do, like, from a young age, consulting and all these things? Did you ever see yourself back in the day when you were a kid doing something like this, or no?
So I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. Like that was definitely not on my radar. My
Hmm.
family wasn't entrepreneurs. Again, right? You can't be what you can't see. So I was never exposed to that. What I was exposed to was take ass to school and then go get yourself a job, right?
Yeah,
That's what I was exposed
me
to.
too.
But even then, right? The first one in my family to graduate, right? The first one in my family to work on Wall Street. So it was never an aspiration to pursue entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
And that could have been because I wasn't exposed to it. But I would say that I'm very grateful for working in corporate because it taught me a lot about how to handle myself as a professional, how to deal with different types of personalities,
Hmm.
how to be the youngest in the room, the only Latina, the only woman, right? All of these things that now serve me very well as an entrepreneur. I'm grateful for having that experience when I was in the corporate sector. What I did know and always believed that I would do was I would always be in a position where I was helping people become the best version of themselves and believe in themselves. That is something that I knew I was always going to do. That is something
Nice.
that I've always done. Whereas now I am able to monetize it.
Yeah. Yes. Totally. And we're Latin and everything, and maybe some Latin people will come in and watch this. What is something cool that about us being like Latin culture and stuff that we have an edge? Maybe not just necessarily against other cultures that get into business, but what is something that you know for a fact that, oh, you're Latin, you're probably going to be really good in business in these areas or these
Yes.
things. What are those?
Yes.
What would you say those things are?
Yes, and I'm so happy that you brought that up because one of my most popular keynotes is
Uh-huh.
how to overcome imposter syndrome by using your cultural influences, right? So
Okay.
how do you use your cultura as a competitive advantage versus an Achilles heels? And there's so many things about us as a people that sets us apart. So for example, we are very big on community and family. That will
Mm,
serve you very well in business because it will allow you to galvanize people, to mobilize people, right? To want to be a part of whatever it is that you have going on. And
mm,
because naturally you being family oriented, people will naturally want to be a part of your community, which right now community is king, right?
yeah.
So that element really works for us. What else works for us? And this is in the corporate setting and entrepreneurship. What else works for us is we love to have fun and we love to party. We love to celebrate. We love to host. And so that serves us really well because nobody's trying to be bored out here. Like people want to be moved emotionally.
Yeah.
And the way that they're moved emotionally is by evoking emotion, right? So with
Yeah.
our Latinidad, we're very much a celebratory people. Like we very much celebrate our culture, our people, each other, etc. And
Mm,
so when you're thinking about how you run a team, teams perform best when they feel validated, when they feel heard, when they feel seen, when they feel
yeah.
celebrated. And we
Mm.
do that naturally as a people. So those are some leadership attributes that we're born with, we are raised with as a result of us
Thank
just
God.
growing up in a beautiful, vibrant community. Yeah. So we got to apply that instead of, what your abuela, abuelo used to tell you, like, oh, no, don't talk Spanish, or, oh, no, don't be like everybody else that you see. Don't try to stand out. No, no, no. My advice is stand out, right?
Yeah.
Stand out. Don't
Totally.
conform, create the norm, because that is your competitive advantage,
Mhm.
especially your Latinidad. So
Oh, I
definitely
love
we
that.
that.
I
Yes.
love that, Victoria. And I think it's just that maybe we're, for whatever reason, maybe something we got stuck on ourselves from puberty, or whatever. But we're like, I don't want to be like them. I don't want to be like my family or whatever it is, or my culture. So and maybe that's another reason why we fall under the imposter syndrome, because we're like, hey, I don't want
Well,
to be, you know,
listen, if you
uh-huh.
look at history, our ancestors were conquered,
Yeah.
right? They came and they stole our land. They tried to strip us of our cultura. And so when you think about why our grandmothers or our mothers would tell us, no, don't speak Spanish, or no, no,
Mm,
no, no, tie back your hair, don't wear your curls, it's because they were horrified by the people who came and conquered our lands and
mm,
said, white is right. That's what you got to look like. You got to be pale skin. You got to have straight hair, because they looked at them as success, right? Because that's
right.
all they knew. And they were brainwashed to believe that. And so
Mhm.
that thinking was literally passed down generation to generation. And what's beautiful about Jose, you and I, our generation, we have the power to really shift that thinking and
Yeah.
be the change we want to see and break those generational curses. That's
Mhm.
not our fault. Like, you know what
Right.
I mean? We were born into this thinking. And so we have the power to really change the narrative, which is why I focus so much on mindset, focus so much on confidence, and focus so much about really tapping into your badassery and full potential.
Tenacity.
Because if not, yeah, we're going to continue to create that trauma cycle
Mhm.
that really we have an opportunity right now to detach ourselves from.
Yeah, I think a huge benefit, just to add to everything that Victoria said, is that we're super resilient, right? Because especially like if you are an immigrant and you came here and you're like, you came, you
Yes.
went through all this pains and hustle and everything. It's like the Harbor, talking about history. It's not like like
Yeah.
in Pearl Harbor, where people were like, you can only choose two things. You can either quit or you can get fired up about what just happened and be like, these motherfuckers, sorry, excuse
Right.
my language, these
Exactly.
motherfuckers are not gonna do this, and I'm gonna continue to hustle and we're gonna head to victory. And that's what happened after Pearl Harbor and many, times in history. Like people were like, this is never gonna happen to us again, or we're gonna win the next one. So you either quit and you say, "Oh man, we're gonna be annihilated, right? Like we're not gonna like be able to sustain this any longer," or you're gonna find out like you're really pissed and you're like, "Man, I'm gonna go after this and I'm gonna make it this time." So I think
Right.
that's something that we have ingrained too. That is super helpful. We're super resilient, and I hear that all the time from these other people that they haven't, like they see us, right? And I'm sure it happens to you too, Victoria, and they see you and they're like, how can you do that? Like, you don't ever get tired, or do you ever say no just to an opportunity, and you're
Yeah.
like, no.
No,
It's like,
I'm like, yeah, I say no all the time.
right, but you know what I mean? Like if you know it's good, you go after it and you don't
Right.
like make excuses, or because you've gone through things, right? Or you've seen your family going through things and you're like, man, life is tough, but I know how to make lemonade out of these lemons, right? So,
Yes.
oh no, I love that. And tell people here, my friend, how important is what you do, business consulting, mindset shift, and all these things are for a business owner. How important are these things for business owners?
Well, I mean, let's think about the mindset of a business owner and the emotional roller coaster, right? That business owners go on all the time. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen that meme where they showed like entrepreneurship is like this, like this. Like here, I'm like,
Yeah,
yay,
yeah,
we
yeah,
did it. Here we're
totally.
like, oh, this is bullshit. And they were like, we're winning. And then it's like, oh, this is bullshit. So it is an emotional roller coaster. And as a result of that emotional roller coaster and everything that's happening in the external market, everything that's happening in the social economy, everything that's happening in the monetary economy, like all of that influences how we think and how we move. And so it's imperative for us, especially right now, to make sure that we're paying attention to how we are thinking and also how we're not showing up. A lot of entrepreneurs think that they're the shit and they think that they're doing it, but their bank account's like close to zero, right? You're not, they're keeping up with the Joneses, they're trying to keep up with the gram, and they're trying to pretend to be something that they're not, thinking that that is what's going to help them to win, right?
Mhm.
And so the work that I do is so important because I teach you how to actually use your difference and create your own lane to really serve as a competitive advantage versus you trying to do, look, and sound like everybody else, right? You need to
Yeah.
stick out. And so that's one of the reasons why the work is super important. And then second, a lot of entrepreneurs, they don't understand the foundations of business, like the business principles, like tax credit, business credit, LLC versus S corp, payroll versus contract role, all of these things, 1099 versus W2. Like they don't understand the business fundamentals, and so they go into business and they find themselves going out of business very quickly or not making any money because they don't understand the fundamentals of business. And
Yeah.
so that's why it's so important for people who are thinking about business to understand that before they even start, because they can plan ahead, right? And they can put together a business plan, understanding all of those dynamics instead of trying to figure it out as you go, which is what I did because I had no mentors. I had nobody who I can go to and ask. And so I lost a lot of money. I lost a lot of energy. I made a lot of mistakes. But that was all purposeful because now I can take all of those learnings and I can now teach people to learn from my mistakes, right? And teach people to not do what I did, to actually follow the framework that got me out of that, to have me, you know, kind of smooth sailing right now. And so it's important for all of us to understand our weaknesses, our areas of opportunity, and get the help and invest in the help. Like, don't be cheap with your
Don't be
development,
cheap.
because it will come and bite you in the ass later. Like, you will end up paying for it one way or another. It's either you're paying for it because you already lost so much and now you're like, okay, now I have to pay for it because I lost so much, or you're paying for it because you're working smarter instead of harder. And you're like, you know what? I need a coach. I need to figure out how to do this from somebody who's done it, so that I don't waste any time. I don't go to Google University or YouTube University and try to figure it out on my own. You might get some good tips, but you're not going to get strategy. That's what people pay for. They pay for the strategy. And that's what you want to pay for, because that will accelerate your process.
Yeah, yeah. And I have a business coach. I was telling you, Victoria, before we started the call, and I was, you know, clueless in what was the best next thing to do, because, you know, also, and I think it's also because of, and now I see how it all links with the imposter syndrome, by the way. It's incredible. But it's like we're always going after the next shiny object, right? So if you operate your business in that way, and you don't have someone that is helping you, guiding you, like, and asking you, like, okay, what do you think that's the best next, you know, the next best decision, and what do you think about this other thing, and like, you're gonna make and spend money, right? Spend money, spend time, which is way better than money, of course, and your focus, your energy, and everything in things that are, yes, and things that are not gonna help you in your business. And that's why you need a coach. And I have a coach, guys, and it's insane. It's incredible, and it's helped me so much. And I don't even have a lot of time with the coach. Of course, what I do with the coach is he tells me, and it makes sense, and I apply immediately. I don't wait. I don't rest on my laurels. I know I need it, and we apply it either the same week or the next day or whatever, and we start tackling it immediately. But now let's talk about that. So let's talk about how can you help people, my friend. Tell us more about your business. What is it that you do, and how can we, you know, work with you and everything? Tell us everything about the business.
Yeah. So, you know, I love the implementation piece, because what I feel now is everybody's just digesting, listening to this one, listening to that one, listening to that podcast, watching that interview, but they're not actually implementing anything that they're learning. They're just consuming. And the magic is in the implementation, right? So I help people with the implementation, right? So I am kind of like the fire under your ass to implement, right? And actually make it happen. And so there's a couple of different ways to work with me. So it depends on really where you are. So if you're in corporate or a 9-to-5 grind and you want to make the transition into full-time entrepreneurship, then the Dare to Leap Academy is the place for you, right? And if you go to dtlacademy.biz, there's a free training that you can take there. That'll show you the 3 steps that you can take to start making that transition without losing your financial security. And then after you watch that training, you have the opportunity to book a free magic call with me, where we will actually go through your business, talk about your structure, your strategy, and see if you're a good fit for the Dare to Leap Academy. So that's at dtlacademy.biz. Now, if you're somebody who is looking to scale, like you're already in business, you've been in business for 5 years or less, and you're struggling with scaling, and you want to learn how to do business at the corporate and government level, you want to learn how you can build up your brand, you want to understand business fundamentals, all of that is also taught inside the Dare to Leap Academy. So I would do that free training and then get the magic call and book the call so we can talk about how to scale up your business. If you're someone who just needs mindset work, so you're still professional, you're working for somebody else, or you're an entrepreneur, wherever you are, or you're at a stay-at-home mom, like wherever you are, but you struggle with confidence and mindset, then the Woman Who Roar Club is for you, which is my group coaching program. And there you can learn more at womanwhoroarclub.com. You can join the membership there. You can become a part of the community, and we can start making some magic together. So those are the 2 ways.
Oh, that's awesome. And Victoria's website is in the description if you're watching it on YouTube. And if you're not, it's also wherever you're seeing it. If you're seeing it, oh yeah, in YouTube or Facebook, everything is there. So you
Yep.
click from your website, they can find all these other tools and programs, right, Victoria?
Yes,
Perfect.
absolutely. You can also follow me over on Instagram or any of the social media streets at the letter I, the letter AM, Victoria Jenn, Jenn. So at I am Victoria Jenn. Reach out to me. Let me know you know me through Jose's podcast. You saw me on YouTube. Introduce yourself to me. And let's see if we can collab. Let's see if I can help you. But definitely introduce yourself, right? As I said, community is everything, and
Everything.
you want to build relationships with people, and you just never
Yeah.
know. So make sure you introduce yourself.
Yes, yes, yes. And so, her Instagram is also in the description. So just, you can click there and follow her, please. Follow Victoria. She's had amazing content too. That again is going to bring you value, but you must implement, but you also have to get a coach. I'm serious, like, not just because Victoria is here and I'm saying this, like I've said this way like many times in the past in this program, in this show. You guys have to get a coach, because I can tell you of a year and a half that I just wasted just because I didn't, and I had the money. Okay, I had the money, and I could have had afforded the coach, but again, the mindset, right? The mindset was keeping me from getting the coach. And now that I have the coach, I'm like, man, you know, this is like a no brainer. But of course, like Victoria said, she's been saying the whole thing. It's like you don't know what you don't know, but try it out. Like, I mean, what do you have to lose? You're already wasting your time and your money. So what else do you have to lose? Okay, like I mean, So just go for it, give it a try, and you're gonna get a great value. I'm telling you, a coach is the best thing you can get in business. Of course, get a good one like Victoria, right? So check her stuff out. Go to her website, check her out. She's great. She's not every coach. By the way, I try to get coaches because they bring the most value to the show. Not saying that other business owners don't, but they know about business and they help other businesses, and they see things from a different perspective. So that's why I bring lots of coaches. But one cool thing is that the value that they're so important to your business, and you have to really give it a shot. If you guys have ever had like a therapist or something, maybe you kind of understand how that works. It's like your therapist in business, in life, who's helping you. Or if you're a religious person, it's like the pastor. It's like this person, but in business, that is helping you, giving you the knowledge that you need, the guidance. And they're this other third person that they see things from outside. So they have a way more, and they want your success too. So they will tell you the truth, and they will be super helpful and everything. And yeah, I can't say enough good things about having a coach. It's just out of this world, the value that you get. So no, that's excellent, my friend.
What did you learn from your coach, Jose? What is like one of the key takeaways you got from your coach?
Uh, you know, I like a key takeaway. I think I don't have one, but what I can tell you is something that he's guided me to, or made me realize, or he just told me like, hey man, this is something we have to improve. And I was like, man, I know that you're right, but I was concentrating in other things. And one of those things was that I'm also a closer, like you said. So some people call this the curse of knowledge. Is you're really good at something, and then it's hard to put it on paper, on the processes, and make that people do it, or it's hard to teach it because you're assuming that people will know what the heck you're talking about, or what the heck or you're not even considering things that you are good at or that you learned way back, like building rapport. That was one of the things. So I wasn't incorporating in my sales process building rapport. Imagine that. So that was something that he got in this, like he immediately noticed, right? And it's because I always build rapport. It's just natural in me now. It's ingrained in me, so I always do it. So I didn't even include it in the sales process, the call, like the sales calls and stuff, because I just never thought of it. It's just so this sometimes maybe you know a lot. Like in my case, I study a lot. You see always books around me and stuff like that is because I study a lot. But you can get overwhelmed like this with all the information and having the coach. What do you say? Go ahead. What?
You create blind spots. Like blind spots are created. And so you need a coach. What's really great about a coach is they help you see those blind spots and they help you get out of your own way, essentially.
Yeah, and your own way doesn't work, guys, because you're not a freaking millionaire. So stop trying to do things by your own. Like it really is true, my friend. You know it. It's true. Like I study a lot, right? And you can be very, your ego is gonna keep you from achieving success. Why? Because even if you are like me, like you like to read a lot, you're probably gonna say like, oh, I can study that and learn myself. But how the heck do you know if that's the right thing to do at this time? That's just because you think it is, it doesn't mean it really is. And you don't know, you don't know everything. Like, stop right there and, like, think about that. I don't know everything. So what makes you think that reading a book will be enough to be able to, you need a person that really knows, guys. And, of course, Victoria knows. She's really good. And she is seeing other businesses struggle. And she will immediately like spot the problem that you have, and she will help you with it. Instead, you don't have experience doing that, don't you? Right. So stop grinding and start playing smarter. I mean, it sounds stupid, but it's not stupid because most of you guys watching don't have a coach, right? So go and get one. Go and get Victoria for sure. So no, that's great, my friend. And now tell us about what are the next big moves, the next big goals of Victoria Jenn and her company and everything. What is the next big thing you guys are planning on doing?
So the goal is to enroll 500 women inside the Dare to Leap Academy. So that's a huge goal of ours that we're working towards. And also continue to become known as a professional development personality. So when you think of someone like Susie Orman, who had like her finance show and she had people calling in, I essentially am working towards growing that same momentum and becoming more of a trusted voice and personality in the professional development / business mindset game.
Well, you're doing a great job, let me tell you. right now, you're killing it. That's great. And I really know, and I talk with a lot of business people, of course, because of the nature of what I do, and of course you too. So I really know when people know, and I know you know. So that's great. and no, that's great. And so we were talking about, well, many different things. But one thing that stood out, I think, is like, like how I think this is what most people will probably wonder, and I think I asked this before, but how do I know I'm ready to get a coach? How do you know that?
So I would say the number one, so first of all, everybody needs a coach. Oprah has coaches, Tony Robbins has coaches, everyone that you admire. If you think about athletes, right? Steph Curry at the top of his game, he's got coaches. Everyone needs a coach. Even if you're a coach, you need a coach too. Okay. Yeah, really. So that's number one. But the way for you to kind of really feel like, okay, it's time, I need to stop procrastinating, is if you find yourself not being able to get clarity around next steps, like you're stuck and you don't know what should be your next step. A coach can help you walk through that. Another great indication that you need a coach is if you become self-aware enough to know that you don't know what you don't know. And in order for you to get to the next level, you need somebody who can advise you and guide you to get to the next level. And then the third thing that I would say is you need a coach if you are not able to build and execute strategically and with intentionality. So if you find yourself, you're like, one day you're like all excited about this, and then the next day you're excited about that, and you're just like hopping around, and somebody you hear on social media and they're like, oh, you should do this, and you're like, oh yeah, let me go do that, right? And you're kind of just like hopping around, right? Like a
Everywhere.
fly, landing on everything, landing, but you're not really working towards a solid strategic plan. That is a great indication that you need a coach.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Like if you feel like you're running in circles, and I think even if you have a coach, sometimes you could feel that way because there's a lot. But if you don't have the coach, man, I mean, it's difficult. But if you feel like you're running in circles, you need help, and that's why you need a coach. But I think that was an important question, because people might feel like, I don't know if I need a coach. How do I know if I need a coach? And of course, Victoria just told us, and I think in my case was that I needed a coach because I was super overwhelmed. If you feel like, man, I can't do this anymore, get some help, get a coach. That's what I did, because I was like, man, I'm tired of figuring all this stuff out. Of course, I keep reading and I keep, learning on my own and everything, and I know that's gonna bring me a lot of success too. But you don't know everything, so use the leverage of someone that knows and can help you. I mean, it's
not only that, Jose, as an entrepreneur and as the leader, you're constantly looked to for the vision. You have to have the answers. Like, people need direction from you. You have to make all these decisions, right? And that can be a very lonely process. And with you having an advisor that you can bounce ideas off of, or that can help you open your mind to think about things differently, or have you approach things with more of a, focused lens, that right there is magic, because it is a lot. It is a lot of pressure, and it's a lot of weight on your shoulders when you're the head. You know what I'm saying? When you're the head, it's a lot. But the neck is the most important part of anything, right? In order for me to do this, my neck needs to be intact. And this is where your coach helps you come into play, is, how to do this, how to do this, how to do that, right? So that you're able to move with ease, right? Instead of it being super hard for you to do it.
Yes. And like
I gotta use that more. I like that.
Oh yes, totally. And that's something that really inspired my people too. So we're 13 people here, and
wow, that's a big team.
Well, no, I mean, we're there. We were 15 not too long ago, but things change. So
no,
only good stuff, right? It's only good stuff, of course. But it really got everyone fired up when I told them, hey, we now have a coach. That was like 3 months ago or something. And I told them, and they're like, man, that's great, because they see the improvement, and they see that you really care about the business. Because who wants to work, if think about like you as a company and being a leader and your employees, right? Or your team, who wants to work at a company that they're not gonna grow, and they're not gonna and you have, especially younger people, right? You have dreams and you want to do things, and if you're especially like in my case, like everyone is like very, very young. They're all kids that came out of college, and we're training them from scratch and stuff like that, and they're very motivated. But if they see that they don't have space to grow, they're gonna leave, right? Whenever they get bored, they feel like they've got enough from us. So I have to come up with more growth, more progress, and things like that. And they're always motivated. Thanks God. It's not easy, but thanks God they are. But the fact that we got a coach was super motivating for them, because they're like, man, they really care about this business. I'm not gonna, I'm not working in a place that tomorrow they're gonna say, oh, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. Because who wants to work at a place that has no growth or vision or stability? No one, right? Just think about, if you're an entrepreneur and you're watching this, just think like when you started. Before you started, you were probably thinking those same things, and that's why you quit your job, and that's how you started your business. And that happened to me too, because I saw that I have no place to grow here, and I know I can do better. So that's why you quit probably your day job and you went and do your business. Some people, So if that's your case, yeah, remember that. Put yourself in your employee's shoes. Two more questions, my friend, and thank you so much for being here. God bless you. And I know it's been a little bit, but I appreciate this. And of course, you guys, please say thank you in the comments to Victoria. And if you need some help from her, you know already how to reach her. But the last two questions, my friend. The first one is, give our audience here the three best books that you would recommend to a brand new entrepreneur or someone that wants to do that transition. What would those three books be?
I love it. I actually just did a post of this on my social media, the 5 best books that every CEO, especially female CEOs, need to read. And I actually have one right next to me. So this is the first one, called Untamed by Glennon Doyle. This is good for mindset. This is about really showing up authentically. The next one is The Long Game. And that's all about thinking, forward thinking strategically, not planning and playing for the day, but playing for the future. And then the next one is Who. And this will actually might be good for you, Jose, because Who is all about team building and managing a team and figuring out the best way to motivate your team. So those are my top 3.
Awesome. Thank you. And who's the author of Who? So I can go and buy it right now.
Well, it's over there. I can't see it, but if you just
okay, I'll just search Who, and it's team building. Maybe the subtitle is gonna tell me about the book.
Yes.
Great. Then the last one is, if you could mention 3 things or tips that you could tell a person that is starting a business or they want to start a business, what would those best 3 tips be?
Do it scared. You have to do it scared. Tip 2, I would say, is be flexible, meaning like what you start today may not be what you do 2 years from now. Like you don't have to be completely sold on just one idea. Give yourself the grace of processing the journey and experiencing the journey. And I would say 3 is a lot about business is doing things that you really don't want to do. So get comfortable with showing up even when you don't want to show up and you just don't feel like it. So those are my top 3.
There's this quote, I don't even remember who it was, but it says the difference between the hero and the regular person is that the hero stays 5 minutes more or longer than the normal person. Have you ever heard that quote? It's very cool, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. So the first one is don't be scared, right? Don't be scared.
No, the first one is do it scared.
Okay, so do it even if you're scared.
Yes, because you're going to be scared. So
you're going to be scared.
Yeah.
Got it. So do it even if you're scared. Okay, got it.
Yes.
Beautiful.
Yes.
I like that. Yes, you're always gonna be scared. So why wait until you're not scared? Because it's never gonna happen, right? Just keeping it real, guys. And then be flexible because again, things, and I always tell that to my wife and my mom. They work here in the business with me, and I tell them that you always estimate things in a way, but they never happen the same way. They happen, or it takes longer, or it happens sooner. You never know, but usually it's longer. So plan. Don't feel bad if be flexible, right? Don't feel bad if things don't go as expected, and then get comfortable. Victoria, the last one was get comfortable, and just things are gonna, again, like the second one, they're not gonna happen as you wanted them to be or happen.
No, the last one, show up even when you don't feel like it, right? Get comfortable with doing things that you don't want to do, because a lot of entrepreneurship is you doing things that you don't want to do. That allow you to do the things that you do want to do, but you got to do a lot of the things that you don't want to do in order to get to doing only things that you like to do or enjoy doing.
Yes. I've learned so much, Victoria. Thank you so much for your time. And you have a great energy. We're going to have you again in the show, and I hope we can collaborate. And don't leave yet, my friend. But you guys,
I actually have to hop though, so let's.
You do have to hop, so let's schedule something later. But thank you everyone for being here. Of course, God bless you, Victoria, for your time and sharing all this amazing information with us. God bless you guys, everyone that stayed until the end. And you're awesome. And we'll see you in the next one. Woo! Bye.